Welcome to the Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy, all a part of a rivalry week, presented by Wendy's. And the opening tip, Rutgers and DePaul. The Scarlet Knights in their road black jerseys, DePaul in their home whites. Beth Mowins along with former Providence head coach Tim Welch. Blue Demons coming in at 1-10 in the Big East. They've lost 9 in a row and have yet to win a home game in the Big East. Trying to do it today against a Rutgers club that broke a 6-game skid with a midweek victory over Seton Hall.
Good solid defense by DePaul. Better defense as of late for Oliver Purnell's club. That's what's kept him in these games as of late against Marquette and Notre Dame in overtime earlier this week.
Worrel Clahar, Cleveland Melvin, Brandon Young, Donovan Kirk, and Charles McKinney getting the start today for the Blue Demons. 3 of their last 5 games, all losses, overtime losses, so they have been oh so close to breaking through, and the nice backdoor there to Brandon Young.
Well, they're breaking through, and they're looking for the breakthrough, and they've been closer because of, we said, the defense, and they've taken the press off. They're playing more solid half court instead of all the gambling in the full court.
Three-pointer won't go for Miles Mack. Offensive rebound for Austin Johnson. And Johnson, nice little turnaround hook. Mike Rice pregame, Tim, telling us that he thought they would have an advantage today in the paint. They would have to utilize that.
But DePaul doesn't like to mix it up defensively inside, so Rutgers is going to go inside even though they play with the 3 guards.
Mack with the steal, and it's Seguiers the other way, rejected by Clahar. Now DePaul with numbers on the run. Melvin will try for 3, and he's got it.
Seguiers had that shot blocked by Clahar, and was stunned amazement, and he just kind of jogged back, and DePaul had a 5-on-3 and took advantage.
Well, as you alluded to, this is the end of the court where DePaul needs to shore things up, and Clahar making another play, gets the steal and the lay-in.
Beth, you and I were talking about it earlier today. I've just been impressed with their energy, their enthusiasm, even their focus throughout this losing streak. They lost 9 in a row, 3 in overtime, but they've never lost faith, and you see a lot of heart and toughness early for DePaul.
Johnson again, this time a little too far out for the hook. Kept in play, and DePaul's got it.
His range is about 2 feet in. That's a little bit too far out for Johnson.
Melvin kicks it back outside. Melvin and Brandon Young both in the top 10 in the Big East in scoring. And Donovan Kirk has emerged in the last couple of games as a 3rd option as Melvin hangs and hits.
Cleveland Melvin, if you put the spots on the floor where he scores, everything will be filled up because he can go from baseline out to the 3-point line, but he's more effective right there. That mid-post area, really tough.
Only guy in the league that's top 10 in scoring and rebounding right now in the Big East. Dribble Eli Carter into the lane, and one opportunity for Carter.
DePaul has not given up on the season, or Clahar did not give up on this play, and just kind of the diminutive Clahar coming through, step through the block, and then Rutgers not running back, and 5-on-3 leaves Melvin wide open.
Carter trying to finish up the 3-point play, and he does. It's a DePaul defense that during that losing streak has been giving up 84 points per game, and opponents are shooting at 50%. So certainly the message delivered and received early for DePaul defensively.
Let Rutgers get out in transition. Also taking better shots. Shot selection is so important for DePaul. Sometimes they get erratic with it.
Runner won't go from Donovan Kirk. Rutgers couldn't hang on to it. Back to the Blue Demons. A couple of 3rd-year head coaches in the league. Mike Rice, after a successful stint at Robert Morris that included a couple of trips to the NCAA tournament, he would love to end the streak dating back to 1991, the last time they got to the NCAAs. And of course, Oliver Purnell, who has been so successful in reinvigorating programs, most recently down at Clemson, now in his 3rd season here with the Blue Demons. Melvin with the catch, he's double teamed. He finds Young on the perimeter. Tipped out to Melvin, offensive rebound. Young gets into the lane and goes to the left hand for 2.
DePaul really efficient, going inside, back outside, keeping the ball alive on the glass and playing unselfish basketball right now.
4 points for Young here in the early going. He and Melvin both 1,000-point scorers, and Melvin gets the steal to Young. Back to Clahar, filling the lane. And DePaul in transition, taking advantage of a Rutgers team slow to get back.
Rutgers wanted to come and attack DePaul on the inside, but instead it's been DePaul that has got up and down the floor with active hands, unselfish play, a lot of energy, and the extra pass as Rutgers with no resistance running back. It's just a bad play by Seegers, and then coming back on defense, though, Rutgers just jogging back and getting Carter getting out of the way. And right now DePaul is, as they say in hockey, is the hockey arena, Beth. It's ice cold in here. They're flooding the zone.
They have hit 6 of their first 8 shots this afternoon to open up the 13-5 lead. Token pressure full court here for DePaul. How about your keys for Rutgers? And one of them already an issue, the early knockout.
Well, 3 guys on the perimeter. They sometimes take too many threes, but the early knockout coming up on the road and just establishing some confidence, but they haven't done that so far.
It has been DePaul, in fact, delivering the early blows. Johnson trying to go to work on Worrel Robertson, who's now into the lineup. Melvin comes out with it. How about the keys for the Blue Demons?
Well, it's hard to stay focused when you've lost 9 in a row, but this team has done a very good job of hanging in games, the 3 overtimes, and stabilize and switch defenses. It's been better as of late so far today. Solid for DePaul.
Nearly 5 minutes gone, and DePaul leading Rutgers 13-5. Good start for the DePaul Blue Demons, trying to end a 9-game skid and pick up their first Big East home win of the season. Let's check in with the Welsh Watch, Tim.
Well, we're always watching out for the coaches. We're watching out for the backs, the fronts, everything else, because everyone's always trying to get to their heads. And there's a great headshot of these 2 guys who have established programs at other places. Mike at Robert Morris and Oliver Pernellis, his 5th stop. And you know, the thing that bothers me the most is when you hear rumors and stuff about the hot seat. Well, that's ridiculous. In the 3rd year of building a program, you need 5 years. You need a full cycle of your recruits. And that's what these guys are doing. And they're doing it the right way. They're established teachers. They're very well respected in the profession. And, you know, people tend to want success right away. But there's a reason they're there, because the people in front of them weren't successful. So you got to give them some time. And let's hope both these guys, for me, I think that they're doing both excellent jobs in building the program. The wins aren't there yet, but I think they'll come.
And for both coaches too, Tim, their best guys are going to be back again next year. It's that junior tandem of Melvin and Young for DePaul, and that terrific sophomore class for Rutgers that Mike Rice and the Scarlet Knights will be counting on for years to come.
Oh, absolutely, and it's just, you know, having gone through and coached in this league, you understand, you know, the minute you take the job, the happiest day of your life is the press conference. And then everything else starts coming on your shoulders. And every year you lose a little bit of your popularity with your fan base, and that's unfortunate. You know, you have to be patient with your coaches. And you know, the greatest person I think about, you know, a couple weeks ago we were at Seton Hall and they honored that Seton Hall team from the early 90s that won the Big East Championship. And I remember Seton Hall, everyone wanted P.J. Carlesimo gone. Well, the president of Seton Hall at the time said, no thank you, we're going to stay with this is my guy. And they stuck with him, and it paid off. And that certainly should happen with both these programs. Not that I'm hearing anything else, but I just think that they're excellent coaches.
A couple of turnovers here on the line violation, stepping over the out of bounds line there on the inbound. So a couple of turnovers apiece. DePaul has scored off of both of the Rutgers turnovers. They've been getting out in transition. They are the second highest scoring team in the league at 74 points per game. Into the lane, Clahar. Good start for Worrel in just his second start in Big East play. 0 in white.
I like Clahar. He's just kind of an energizer out there. He knows how to get into the gaps, but also unselfish, reverses the floor.
Wally Judge able to clean it up. The K-State transfer after Carter lost the handle on the way in.
Extended three-quarter court pressure here just to mix up the defenses for Rutgers.
And Oliver Purnell has to use a timeout, trying to deal with the press. Rivalry week presented by Wendy's, continuing tonight at 7 Eastern. It's Baylor and 10th ranked K-State. That game also available live on the Watch ESPN app.
Frank Martin left a boatload of good players for Bruce Weber at Kansas State. I think he must have had flashbacks the other night when he went into his little rant after they lost to LSU. He said, oh my God, I could have had all these great players that I recruited at Kansas State. Now I'm left with this.
Yeah, post-game press conferences nationwide have been interesting this week, haven't they?
He pointed back to when he was a JV high school coach in Miami, and I actually knew Frank back in those days when I was at Florida State. He used to bring his teams up to our camp, and he was energized and fiery even back then as a JV high school coach, but he'll get it turned around in South Carolina.
Right now, everybody in the Big East looking up at Georgetown. The big turnaround for the Hoyas. They have temporarily taken over the top spot in the league. Marquette and Syracuse can both catch them this weekend. But the Hoyas, winners of 7 in a row, huge road win for them at Cincinnati, a team suddenly struggling to find its way. Young elevates in the lane. The tip up and in. I think that was Robertson that got up to get it.
Second and third effort for DePaul right now has been there all day long up on the glass.
Mike Poole now into the lineup for Rutgers, as is Dane Miller, number 2 in black.
Oh, real feisty, overplaying out on the wings. Usually they play a little bit softer, man. Today they're getting up and denying, pressuring all over.
And Rutgers will have to call the timeout. Again, it's Worrel Clahar making a nice play defensively. Here's a look at the Big East standings with Rutgers and DePaul in 12th and 14th place, respectively. Georgetown, what is it? I think the first time in 5 years that the Hoyas are alone in first place in the league.
Well, they're a long way from getting pasted by Pittsburgh about 6 weeks ago, and they turned it around. And if it started today, we don't want it to start today, though. It's the end of the season comes too quickly, and we'll talk about the Big East tournament. Some of those teams, you know, Syracuse and Pitt, their swan song in New York City.
Well, we've already heard a lot of talk about the Syracuse-Georgetown rivalry. Tim, you were a part of that as a former assistant up at Syracuse, and now with the Hoyas elevating to the top of the standings, all of a sudden those two games could come down to the last game of the regular season to decide who wins it.
That That would be fun. And let's just hope they keep that game going for years to come, at least for the fans' sake.
Deep three ball. That won't go for Miles Mack. This time Rutgers has numbers back defensively. Switch, will swing it around to McKinney down to the corner. Shot clock down to 5. And the strip taken away by Miller, and the run out for Miles Mack. Gets the lay-in the other way. So a little bit of pressure here for Rutgers has changed things a little bit.
Well, they solidified their half-court defense, and DePaul moving the ball around, but not getting anywhere on attack. And you need to try to get into the gaps and create something off the bounce.
Three-pointer is good from Crockett, and an 18-11 DePaul lead over Rutgers here at All-State Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. Miles Mack in traffic high off the window for 2.
Again, the guards for Rutgers starting to get into their groove, not only on the offensive end, but feisty on the defensive end against DePaul's perimeter players.
Beth Mowens, along with former Providence head coach Tim Welsh here in Chicago. Hot start for DePaul, and Rutgers has clawed back into it. 11:19 to go, and the Blue Demons up 6. ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5 Hour Energy. What will you do in 5 hours? Downtown Chicago, and about 20 miles away out in Rosemont at All-State Arena, DePaul leading Rutgers 18-13. Beth Mowens along with former Providence head coach Tim Welsh, and a pretty good start here for DePaul. They hit 6 of their first 8 shots to jump in front.
They got good high percentage shots. They got into the lane, they got out in transition, but more importantly, for DePaul, they were feisty on defense. Not known for their defense, but it's been better as of late. But the last few possessions, Rutgers has stabilized himself in a half-court offense, taking better care of the basketball.
Let's go one-on-one right now, and 6 guards in the starting lineup, 3 on either side today, led by Eli Carter and Brandon Young.
Excuse me, Beth, there's not many post players left in the game of basketball, so it's a guard-oriented game, and today you'll see 2 real good ones. Eli Carter, when he's on and clicking, Rutgers usually wins, and Brandon Young has been the best player all season long for Oliver Purnell.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier today with Mike Rice, and when you look at the leading scorers in the Big East, I think you got to go all the way down to Jack Cooley at 16th in the conference for a true post player. Otherwise, a lot of perimeter guys. Everybody likes to shoot the 3 these days. Young trying to get inside. couple of tips up by DePaul. And finally, Rutgers able to come away with it. And then a held ball in the lane, and that will stay with DePaul.
Yeah, it is amazing that everyone wants to play in the perimeter. It's like, don't you want to do something that someone else doesn't do?
Yeah.
Usually you get rewarded if you do something no one else can do, but everybody wants to play outside and dribble and miss shots, and that's why scoring's down. But go down low. Where's the Alonzo? You talk about Georgetown, Syracuse rivalry. Where's the Alonzo Mournings and Darren Coleman's and Dikembe Mutombos of the world? It's the old school Big East.
Brandon Young, 7th in the Big East in scoring. That's number 20 in white. He's got the ball in his hands. Off the ball fake into the lane, and a foul as Jamie Crockett will head to the line.
Seegers got beat off the bounce, but didn't recover in time and trust his teammates for the help. Instead, just flies at Crockett and commits a silly foul.
Jamie, the sophomore from Chicago, he's been in double digits in 4 of his last 5 games.
Yeah, Crockett's struggled a little bit in the past from the perimeter, kind of mixed up his game a little bit for Oliver Purnell, where he's not just always about shooting the jump shot and shooting the 3, only 25% on the season. Oliver Purnell leads him to have a little bit more balance in his game.
Yeah, they'd really love to find a third scorer, be it Crockett or Donovan Kirk, who's been in double digits the last couple of games. As Cleveland Melvin returns to the DePaul lineup.
DePaul extending their pressure. They like to go 1-2-1-1, face guard up on the top. And this is more of a soft, conservative pressure that they've used as of late.
Rutgers feeling a bit more comfortable. They have hit 4 of their last 5 shots now as Dane Miller attacks the rim.
Well, that's why DePaul gives up 83 a game in Big East play. Just too easy, no basket protector, no force to the sideline.
Miller dinging up on Crockett. Now Clahar, he's got Seegers on him. This is Cleveland Melvin. He'll pull up short. Good box out that time from Derek Randall, the 6'8" sophomore for Rutgers. Mike Poole. Rutgers being patient. Now Seegers calling for the Kadeem Jack screen. Miller, the step back, off the mark for 2, and that one did not touch iron. Shot clock violation. Well, ACC Sunday night basketball is a part of Rivalry Week on ESPNU, and Sunday night the action gets started with the pregame show at 5:30, and then it's Miami-Clemson at 6 Eastern. The Hurricanes atop the Atlantic Coast Conference, 2 games up on Duke. 11-0, and what a job by Jim Larinaga.
Well, a month ago, more importantly than the rankings, that you're looking at a top seed in the NCAA tournament. And they've got 4 seniors in the starting lineup. Shane Larkin is the sophomore point guard. And a great mix, chemistry, and experience.
Clahar got into the lane, took an extra step. 4 DePaul turnovers.
Backing the pressure up, and I think it's a good idea. They've done more of this as of late. Just try to play more solid half-court man-to-man defense. Oliver Purnell talked about not only his defense being solid, but offensively just taking better care of the basketball, which doesn't lead to easy buckets at the other end.
Rutgers right now shooting 43%. And the reach-in foul is going to be called on Kinney. Or check that, it's going to be on Crockett, and that will be his second. Just the 3rd team foul.
Nice job on Carter out on the perimeter, just kind of forcing him away from his areas of comfort on the floor.
Mack gets it back to Seegers for 3. third best three-point shooter in the league knocks one down. Clahar, he's open. Can't knock it down. Miles Mack now with the push for Rutgers. The kick out, Sagir's looking for another one. Last touch by Rutgers.
Rutgers is going to push the pace with their guards, even when they don't have numbers. And DePaul has to be aware they've got to slow the basketball down because Rutgers will run to the three-point line with their three-guard offense. And right now, Rutgers looking a lot more comfortable, not only in the half-court offensively, but slowing down DePaul defensively.
Down on the ground, it will go to Rutgers this time. 7:50 to go. DePaul up by a couple. When we come back, a look at the top players in the Big East Conference.
You're watching ESPN's Rivalry Week, presented by Wendy's. You're watching ESPN's Rivalry Week, presented by Wendy's.
All-State Arena here in Rosemont, Illinois. DePaul, they've led by as many as 8, now down to a 2-point lead, 7:50 to go. We're watching a couple of the top scorers in the conference for the Blue Demons in Cleveland Melvin and Brandon Young. How about some of the top dogs around the league this year?
Well, this guy's done it all season long for Ed Cooley, from tap to buzzer, played a little point guard, but he is a scorer deluxe, an undersized two-guard. Bryce Cotton can make things happen for Providence, and the big fella in the middle for Notre Dame is Jack Cooley, maybe the only post player in the conference, the true post player who likes to go down low. And Russ Smith, just a bundle of energy, perpetual motion, up in the front of the press, the front of the 2-3 zone, but also can knock down shots. And knocking down shots is what Sean Kilpatrick does best for Mick Cronin's Cincinnati's club. They need him to get going, though, because they've been slow as of late. And Michael Carter-Williams leads the country in assists. He's second in the country right now, but all season long he's been very consistent. And Otto Porter, talking about consistency, we don't have anything up on him, but Georgetown on top of this league, and you've got to talk about Otto Porter as a candidate, strong candidate for Player of the Year in the Big East.
Winners of 7 in a row after their win last night. They are half a game up on Syracuse and Marquette, pending their games this weekend. And we started it out with Bryce Cotton, the leading scorer in the league, and Providence right now on its way to an upset of Notre Dame. And if they can maintain a 20-point lead over the last 7 minutes or so, they will be riding a 4-game winning streak into the Carrier Dome on Wednesday night.
Break up the Friars. Wow. They're on fire. Their guards are really good.
Miles Mack gets into the paint. He's got 6, and we are tied for the second time today. Rutgers trying to build on a midweek win over Seton Hall that snapped a 6-game skid for them. Offensive stickback is good for Donovan Kirk.
Kirk, good job of sticking with the play. Wally Judge watched. Kirk attacked.
The Blue Demons, meanwhile, they want to end a 9-game losing streak here this afternoon and get their first home Big East win of the year. Some news and notes from around the Big East. The Hoyas, not just 7 in a row, but 9 of their last 10. You got 9 teams within 2.5 games of first place right now. And Pittsburgh, the other team that has been hot since the calendar turned over to the new year.
Pittsburgh going to be there all season long. They got a big sleeper in the tournament because of their depth.
They've won 7 of 8. They have a huge game today at Marquette. Working it inside. Judge couldn't knock it down. He'll try again and gets fouled. That's one of the situations that Mike Rice was talking to us about earlier today. The bigs finishing around the rim.
It's been a problem for Judge, and you look at their big guys. Kadeem Jack, he's decent around the rim, but hasn't progressed probably like Rutgers thought he would or could to this point as a big guy.
Judge and Johnson combining for 7 points so far in this first half.
Inability to secure the rebound has been a season-long problem right there. They do a nice job on the first part of the possession, but can't finish on the glass.
DePaul got off to a terrific start, hit 6 of their first 8, and since then Rutgers shooting 50% as DePaul has cooled off. And Rutgers looking for its first lead of the day. Eli Carter corralled by Kirk.
Bad shot by Carter. One pass possession, something Mike Rice is trying to teach Carter. When to go, when to be more patient.
Melvin. Cleveland with the spin and the kick out.
Good help by Rutgers, understanding that Melvin is not a very good passer. He's looking to score.
Bump by Johnson as Melvin tried to work his way inside.
Clearly on the game plan, Rutgers understands that Cleveland Melvin has 18 assists and 53 turnovers on the season. He's a big-time scorer. He hunts his shots, and he puts the ball on the floor. They're sending a second and sometimes third defender in his area.
Melvin, fire right away, and the push-off going to be called on Johnson. And a couple of fouls here in a row now for Austin Johnson. That's just the 4th on the team.
Mike Rice doesn't mind that. He wants this game to become more physical because he believes his inside players are a little bit more polished in the paint than DePaul's.
Melvin lost the handle. Clahar in with the bigs, able to elevate and score.
Clahar. Melvin and Kirk couldn't get in there, or Robertson, and all of a sudden the little guy snuck in there.
Sagiers couldn't knock it down, and now the push off on the rebound will go against Jamie Crockett, and that is his 3rd personal foul. Fifth team foul on DePaul.
Paul didn't body up or tag anybody on that shot up on the rim, and Crockett's going to have to come out.
Charles McKinney quickly back into the game. Carter dropping it off for Kadeem Jack. Goes to the left side of the rim and misses from a foot away. Clahar and 1, assist to Young. Worrel Clahar already above his season average. He's got 8 points in the first half.
Kadeem Jack couldn't finish at one end, and who says DePaul doesn't have any quality post players? Right there, the little guy, 2 in a row, in with the trees. Look at him, just feasting around the rim.
At 5'11", shooting over the 6'9" Judge and the 6'9" Jack.
4 rebounds a game. No one questions that guy's toughness. He's got a lot of toughness and heart. That's why he's on the floor for a reason for Oliver Purnell. He just gives him those intangibles out there on the floor.
2nd year at DePaul for the senior out of Brooklyn. At his career high 16 a couple games ago against Marquette.
Early in the season, he was their leading rebounder, so it tells you a little bit about their problems and also about Clahar's toughness.
Carter got up in the air, nowhere to go with it, turns it over. That's the 4th for Rutgers.
But again, the problem for Rutgers, not only ball handling and quick shots, but their inability to finish. First you saw Judge miss around the rim, then Jack in a point-blank range. They have to finish.
Between the legs, and the floater won't go.
He shot more left-handed shots today than right-handed.
Miles Mack able to draw the foul on the drive. That's the 2nd on McKinney. Well, ESPN's Journey to the Tourney is a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. And there's one for you tonight at 6. Number 2 Duke coming off the win over Carolina, taking on Maryland. That game also live on the Watch ESPN app.
Well, trending the wrong way as we head down the stretch. Yeah. Big win for them. A needed win.
Clahar lost it. Rutgers 4-on-1, and Judge with the finish.
Nice play by Poole, hustling first, but his head up. The great delivery.
Getting into the lane, had it stripped loose, trying to clean it up, and a foul will get Brandon Young to the free throw line. DePaul up a couple, 3:44 to go in the first half. Welcome back to the Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy as a part of Rivalry Week, presented by Wendy's. Beth Mowens alongside former Providence head coach Tim Welsh, and a 27-25 DePaul lead. We've got 3:44 to go in the half. Some other news and notes from a busy Rivalry Week. Duke able to take down North Carolina the other night. Michigan State with that big win over Michigan, and Gonzaga now ruling the roost out in the West Coast.
Mark Few's got this team clicking. Let's hope that they get a great seed and good path this year, because I think last year they had to come east, and it seems like Gonzaga never gets that respect from the committee, but this year I think they will.
How high can they get, do you think?
There's no question about it. I think the respect level is there for them this year. They played a great scheduling. They had the tough loss at Butler, but I think they can be a 2 seed, maybe a 1 seed. I mean, there's no distinct great team now as we head down the stretch. As we've seen the topsy-turviness of all the number 1s falling, and Kansas with the 3-game losing streak. But the Big Ten clearly is going to have a couple teams in that top 1, I believe.
Young can't knock down the free throw. Young and Melvin, they account for about 45% of DePaul's scoring this year. They've started out shooting just 4 of 12. As Young gets the second free throw, he'll take a breather. Darrell McDonald coming back on. Full court pressure off the make. And Rutgers will call a timeout. They'll have a couple left.
DePaul kind of surprised Rutgers with that quick trap off the free throw, and Rutgers was not prepared.
Well, DePaul, 3 of their last 5 losses have been in overtime, including a pair with Notre Dame. And here it was Jack Cooley having a big night, 26 points. And into the OT, Eric Atkins with a big shot. The Irish would win it 79-71. And then just the other night, trailing by as many as 14 in the first half, DePaul, a big second half comeback. But it was not enough. They get into overtime again, but Jerian Grant and Atkins taking care of business, 82-78. Throw in another overtime loss to St. John's, and Oliver Purnell hopeful, and he likes the way that his guys have been able to compete for the most part, even though they've been losing. There's 5 games that were overtime or within 5 points.
The brutal existence of being the head coach in this conference, where you just understand you're close and you're playing well, but just it's not good enough, and just trying to find those 2 or 3 winning type plays at the end of games right now for DePaul.
They've dropped 9 straight, trying to bring that to an end. Rutgers ended its 6-game losing streak with a win over Seton Hall the other day. They've been pretty good in their close games. 6 wins for Rutgers that have been decided by 5 points or less this year. Looking into the lane, short on the shot from Kone. Clahar having a good first half for DePaul.
Good job by Rutgers, though. Defensive transition not allowing numbers.
Melvin on the drive. The blocking foul is called on Wally Judge. That'll be the second on Wally.
Well, Cleveland Melvin has tweaked his game in the last couple of weeks, where he hasn't hung around the three-point line as much. And if you take the three-point shot out of his game totally, his numbers would be really, really good. He's very good at getting to the free throw line. He's terrific, 17 feet in. And today he's just kind of anchored himself on that short baseline. Rutgers giving a lot of help off the bounce, but he's very crafty getting to the rim.
17 fouls, so 1-on-1 coming up from Melvin, who's already been to the line 145 times this year. That's the best for the Blue Demons. 75% shooter.
See if DePaul slaps the press on after this free throw. They did on the last one. Be very cautious of Rutgers getting into the open court, because DePaul does not defend at the rim.
Yeah, check that. Melvin to the free throw line now 101 times this year. Brandon Young is tops at getting to the stripe for them on the season. Under 3 to go in the half. DePaul's been up by as many as 8.
Very good job of containment on the perimeter with good help, forcing sidelines.
Miller working his way into the lane. Good hustle kept alive by Randall, and then the whistle and the foul underneath.
That's just a killer play. If you're Oliver Purnell, you play tremendous defense. Looks like you're going to secure the rebound, and they just find a way to secure the loose ball.
Randall, the lone black jersey in a sea of white ones in the lane, and Miller to the line. 65% on the season for Dane, who scored the 1,000th point of his career in the Seton Hall win. A couple of other guys reaching that figure as well this week. D'Angelo Harrison at St. John's, Trey Woodall at Pittsburgh also joining the club. Young will come back on, so Young and Melvin out there together here.
I like this by Mike Rice, just kind of switching defenses almost on every possession, giving DePaul a different look. 2-3 zone from the back from the three-quarter court. Real feisty and aggressive, though, not a sagging 2-3.
Edwin McGee into the lineup for DePaul. Working it into Melvin. Gets the shot up, no good. Rebounded by Miller. Miller, he'll take it all the way and miss the layup. Second chance and a foul, and once again, it's Derek Randall making the play.
Randall secured the rebound after, again, Rutgers could not finish at the rim, and Miller made a good push, but he's got to finish. Again, Judge, Miller, and Jack all having problems, and Randall stayed with it.
First foul on Clahar. At a time of year, Tim, when we see a lot of coaches shortening their bench, Mike Rice has gone the other way. He's playing 10 or 11 guys, getting everybody involved. It's been a total team effort for Rutgers.
It has, and they've played better as of late. Good solid win over Seton Hall the other night. Played Georgetown right to the last couple minutes before that, but just trying to find that right mix. I mean, the guards are, you know who the guards are, Mack, Seegers, and Carter. They're going to get their minutes out front, but the front line, he's just trying to find anybody just to give him some sort of consistency on the offensive end.
He's had 10 guys play in this first half. Right now, those bigs for Rutgers, by the way, Tim, they're matching the guards' point production. 14 for the guards, 14 for the bigs. And a foul on the rebound will go against DePaul. Over the back, Donovan Kirk. That's his second. Some free throws here for Rutgers. Coming up on the SportsCenter U halftime report with Dari and Dino. We'll be previewing a busy day of basketball for you. Also some first half stats and highlights. I'm sure they'll be getting you caught up on a couple of other Big East games going on. Providence rolling over Notre Dame in the final minute of play now. The Friars are going to win their 4th in a row. And Villanova, UConn going down to the wire in the final minutes of a close one there.
Count on one thing on a Saturday in February conference plays going on, Beth, that Dari and Dino are going to bring their fastball to the studio all day long. Make sure you tune in. They're going to give you the ins and outs of every game.
One minute to go in the first half, and the turnover. Rutgers 5-on-4. They'll find Mack in transition for the 3, and Rutgers jumps on top.
Well, that's what they'll do, and Oliver Purnell knew that coming in. We've got to be solid, not turn it over, because Rutgers will turn bad offense into easy buckets down the other end.
First time they've been in front all day. And it's short-lived as Clahar gets to the rim. He's got 11 here in the first half.
Well, his shot chart is right at the rim. The smallest guy on the floor for Oliver Purnell finds a way to knife in there. And for Rutgers, the easy shots are in transition where they spot up on the 3. And they've got the pace of this game going in their direction.
Shot clock is off. Possession arrow is with DePaul if they can get a tie-up. Eli Carter's got it. Defender goes down, and so does Eli, and a foul will be called on DePaul. And Charles McKinney has picked up his 3rd.
It's 2 possessions in a row. Oliver Purnell is trying to talk to Clarence Armstrong, saying, we're backing up from the play, and the Rutgers player is creating the contact, and we get called for the foul.
So that's McKinney and Crockett with 3 fouls each for DePaul here in the first half. And Carter to the line, 87% on the year, 3rd best free throw shooter in the league. And he missed it. 5.1 seconds for DePaul to get the length of the floor.
We'll token pressure. Let's see if Clahar can get the ball in his hands and get to the rim.
It's Brandon Young across midcourt, the spin, and he does not get the shot off in time. Even at 32, Worrel Clahar making just his second Big East start of the season with 11 points in the first half. Now let's join Darin Oka in the studio with our halftime report. ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2013